On Saturday, April 26th of 1986, the Chernobyl nuclear power plant had a reactor explode. The Pripyat town suffered a radiation fallout and was evacuated. It is now a ghost town. That's pretty interesting, but let's dive deeper. The power plant of Chernobyl, was located in Pripyat, actually had four reactors. Reactor 4 is the reactor that exploded initially, and only a partial meltdown actually occurred, which was way after the fact, and most of the radiation came from the reactor 4 exploding, and the lid of reactor 4 blowing off, and the radiation from the graphite core escaping. The radiation was buried at some 800 temporary sites because the Soviet Union tried to hide this explosion because they didn't want anyone to know and treat the Soviet government different because the Soviet government that governmented the Soviet Union, basically everything, all of their power was all based on the how people looked at them. And if people looked at them wrong, all the power would be gone. So they wanted to make sure that everyone had the best possible view of the Soviet. Um, Reactor 4 was a RBMK 1000 reactor that was 23 feet tall and almost 40 feet wide. The reactor's core was a huge chunk of graphite sandwiched between two what they call biological shields. Um, so the main cause of the Chernobyl explosion was a reactor design flaw and a breach of protocol during a power outage safety test simulation. So basically, what happened is there was a very bad the man who was in charge of the people working the power plant control room was not the smartest and didn't make the best decisions. Um, he even told people who came back from looking at the reactor and they had said that it exploded. He didn't believe it. He just believed it was hydrogen tank that exploded, which is insane because how can you be so ignorant to the fact that something has exploded when millions of people are at stake? Speaking of millions, almost 7 million people were exposed to the radiation from this accident. 30 people died from the initial blast, but in the end, over 10,000 died from radiation poisoning. So where is Pripyat? What is Pripyat? Where is it? Well, Pripyat was a small town of relatively 14,000 people in the Ukrainian SSR, which was during 1986. The Soviet Union controlled the Ukrainian territory, so Pripyat was under control of the Soviet Union, basically. And yeah, that's basically where it's located. So the Chernobyl power station is now covered in the Chernobyl NSC, or New Safe Confinement. The, um, the Chernobyl accident actually helped U.S. to realize the danger of nuclear power and improve our safety in nuclear power. If you look on the screen right now, we can see a picture of Pripyat, which is the town where it exploded the reactor. Here's another view of Pripyat. And if you'd like another view of Pripyat, here you go. And it's not working. Here we go. This is a view of one of the Ferris wheels in Pripyat. And if you look here in the back, right here, you can see the Chernobyl New Safe Confinement, which is basically it's a giant structure that was built over reactor 4 to cover it and try to keep all the radiation that was currently inside um out or in so that no more would escape. In this photo it's actually not completely done right there. So yeah. Um so everyone thinks that no one can live in the town of Chernobyl, that actually people still do live there. There's a small amount of a few hundred people, but um, radiation is still roaming in the air. And Chernobyl is one of two nuclear energy disasters that were rated at 7 because because Chernobyl was a pretty serious accident, and there was another that was close to it that we may do a video on one day. And yeah, so Chernobyl was home to 14,000 people before. I think I've already said that. But it is currently actually a tourist destination as well because part of the town is not safe to visit, but a good chunk of the town is actually safe to visit, and a lot of tourist companies run that. So, if you've ever wanted to see a ghost town, then you can book a tour guide at Chernobyl. See, this test that actually caused the reactor to explode had happened multiple times, but it failed each time, but it didn't explode, so they just tried again. I mean, try again. But when they tried again, something different happened this time. Instead of the power staying at 25%, it dropped to 1%. When they went to turn the power up, there was a power surge and the power went up to 100%. And then they realized that that's not good, so they tried to shut it down. And that didn't work. And that's when it exploded. The fuel reactors had was 1.5 ton blocks on them started bouncing. Someone who saw it said. So they could see that almost all of the fuel within the 1.5 ton concrete blocks that covered had once the fuel leaked out once of the explosion, which caused a fire to happen. Because see, the core of an RBMK 1000 reactor is is basically it's completely graphite. And right here is a really good photo of Chernobyl because you can see that it's just abandoned and these bumper cars that children rode in and maybe even adults with their children, they're completely abandoned and you can see that they've been run down. They were right in their spots. So for all we know, the town may have been evacuating and they may have had to get out right as they crashed. We don't really know. If you come right here, you can see the Chernobyl control room before the actual accident. And this is a model of Chernobyl right here. So, reactor 4 is right here, and the other, this is reactor 1, 2, and then 3 was right here. The control rooms were spread out in different areas, and, yeah. So this is a very good view from Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, which is a website. Um, Very good 3D model, which is why I'd like to thank them. And if we look right here, you can see this is Unit 1 right here, and then Unit 2, and then Unit 3. And this is Unit 4, which is where it actually exploded. And if we come right here, you can see this is the Reactor 4 right after the explosion. But this is actually before they put the new safe confinement, which covered all this so the radiation didn't leak out. And a little fun fact about that for you. The new safe confinement was actually the second structure built around. They originally put a little sarcophagus, I guess you could say, around, but that started decaying, so they decided to make the new safe confinement. Here is another photo of Reactor 4. You can see the damage that it caused, and right here is one of the towers. It's insane because for all we know, there may have been people standing right there working on it as it exploded. Here's the control room after the event, which has obviously been taken a long time. I'm gonna go back here really quick because there is a little, like a doorway right here. This is how they got in, and there's a platform. And I imagine that multiple people were standing there when when it happened, because there was almost always someone in each area to monitor everything. Which is why I am very confused how this happened when someone was standing there. There should have been something there. Once again, the reactor control room. This is reactor 4, of course. This is a picture of the new safe confinement right here. So you can obviously tell that it's very large and that it took actually it took, I believe, 2 or 3 years to build. But something crazy is the new safe confinement is actually a moving structure. And it is the second largest moving structure in the entire world, which is insane because that can just move. And the people who designed this made it perfect, so that when they lined it up right, it would go perfectly on there and cover it. So obviously this is Chernobyl, and what happened is insane. The people who lived there had to evacuate, and I imagine their lives were probably traumatized if they even survived from the radioactive fallout. Most of the radiation was actually carried by air currents, and if they had not done something, the radiation would have spread to Germany. In fact, the radiation spread to all the way to Sweden, which is the only way that Chernobyl actually got out, and the Soviet Union had to release a statement. The radiation that was caused in the entire Chernobyl accident was more than 400 times of the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima. Also, comment below if you think we should do a video on Hiroshima or Nagasaki. The reactor had multiple flaws in the creation. We still to this day do not know what the flaws were because obviously the reactor no longer exists. I'd like to thank everyone for watching this video and supporting Diving Deeper. Thank you for watching my first video, and I hope that you will enjoy my next video. If you have any recommendations for videos, you can go to my Discord, which will be in the description. And subscribe. Thank you.